Behold, in this episode we will talk about Dispatch game, so a little bit of spoilers alert here, while creating an amazing fan art with acrylic paint markers. I'm gonna share some of my thoughts about the game itself, and also we are gonna talk about the mental impact caused by masking. Hello everyone, welcome back to Drawn by Annie channel, where I'm showcasing my art process as well as yapping about different topics. Grab your drinks and let's get started. You know, my friend has finally convinced me to play this Dispatch game. Even though I didn't really play it myself, he was streaming it for me and I was just deciding which choice to take. I really like this genre of game that lets you make a decision on how exactly the story will unfold. I've played a couple of games from the same genre before and I like the storytelling style there. Dispatch is a game that is kind of divided onto the episodes. It mostly feels like you're watching a show, but you're also partaking in the story. And from what I've heard about the ad hoc studio, it was made by people who also love to play tabletop roleplay games. And honestly, it's very visible from very beginning because all the characters there feel really real. Their reactions, the way they're talking, the way they're behaving, the way they are reacting to things feels very relatable. Like, I've seen a lot of shows and games where main characters or the characters that you're playing as, they're acting like superheroes and they're doing the good thing for the sake of doing a good thing without really having a background or reason to do it, which makes it feel a little boring or unreal. But this game has enough characters to prove you that if there would be superheroes in the world that we're living in, there will also be supervillains as well. The story takes place in an alternative world where there are people born with superpowers naturally, and there are also normal people like us. And basically there is a company that has hired superheroes to do the superhero stuff like you would normally see like in comics like Spider-Man or Superman, whatever, but they are getting paid to do this job. So it feels like more human and more real, honestly. And the character that I'm drawing today is Blonde Blazer. She's sort of a director of this company or a supervisor, whatever you call it. And she's also curating a program to help former supervillains become part of the society back again after the jail, you know. She's also one of the romance options for the main character, Robert Robertson, that you are apparently playing as. And after seeing the whole story and all the options, I thought that Blonde Blazer is actually my choice, even though as my first playthrough, I have chosen another character as romance option. There is a specific point in the plot when you clearly have to decide whether to go for Blonde Blazer or another character. And honestly, in that context, I didn't want to ruin it because Robert was on the call with this other character, and it kind of seemed to me more natural to go with the other character at that point of time, like in the context of Robert, and I placed myself in his shoes actually. So I made a decision as if I was Robert, not me. Yeah, sometimes I impersonate characters too much. It's just because of the specific context of the situation with Blonde Blazer. That's why I chose another one. But from the very first episode, I really liked the design of Blonde Blazer. It looks like this classical superwoman hero, and also a combination of yellow and blue colors. From the very first moment I saw her, I knew that I will make a fan art of her. But then when I got to know the actual full story of Blonde Blazer and the part of her story that has a second identity to it, it just instantly gave me idea on how exactly I will draw the fan art. Visual wise, I really like how the game makes the graphics very strongly empathizing the 3D models and stuff. As an artist, I really appreciate the style because I have a chance to make a really smooth and clean fan art like this. And acrylic paint marker medium fits perfectly into the style. It looks like almost exactly the same as in game. If I wanted to recreate a screenshot, I think acrylic paint markers would fit perfectly into this idea. I actually really like characters who have two identities. Ever since I can remember myself drawing, I love this type of art where you are dividing a character's face by two, and one side is one identity and the other side is the other identity. And I don't care that this idea is super cliche. It is simple and very understandable and also pretty much relatable, because how many of us have two or more identities in terms terms of like you are behaving differently around different people. You can be real you only around very close people, honestly. And in this term, I can relate to blonde blazer a lot because all of my conscious life I had to put masks on to fit into society and to live up to expectations of other people. Even though now, as an adult person, I understand that this is not a very good practice, honestly, because that's exactly the thing that leads you to a burnout. But for someone with ADHD and autism that wasn't even diagnosed up until recently, masking is one of the most harmful things that you can do to yourself. And this fan art actually illustrates this masking thing quite literally, because Blonde Blazer is wearing a mask of a superhero, and she has to deal with a lot of pressure as the office supervisor, as a superhero, and also as someone who is the person that a lot of people rely on. If you choose her as a romance option, eventually she would open up to you and share her vulnerabilities and insecurities of having to be all perfect and an idol for people, because everybody literally looks up for her, both people that she has to protect as a superwoman, but also the criminals that she's fighting with. She literally cannot do any mistake, because that would mean ruining her face and her reputation. You cannot be a superhero if none of the supervillains fear you. You know what I mean? Now, with all the mental health awareness and stuff, people start to finally open up and realize that masking is up to no good. It's kinda not fair for people around you because they don't know who the real you are. But it's also not fair to you either, because of all the effort and all the energy you have to spend to keep this mask on. And especially for younger people and kids who have to deal with the pressure from their own families, later on grow into an adult with a lot of struggles, let alone the mental disorders that can come also from the same thing. Of course, some of them are genetically transferred, but a lot of those are actually earned, like anxiety and social phobia. If only we could live in an ideal world where we wouldn't have to pretend for anybody. But if you find yourself in a situation where you have to put a mask on, which probably we all have, honestly, you know, on this channel you can always share your story down in the comments, because here we listen and we don't judge. Even me, I myself have a lot of struggles, especially with masking. I guess that comes from the late diagnosis of ADHD. Most of my family doesn't even know about me having this disorder, so some things don't change. But the good news is, even if you only have one person in your life who you can be your real self, that's honestly enough. And for me, I have a couple of people that I can be real me. And also I have you, my lovely art fam audience. And just like Blonde Blazer has opened up for Robert, slowly, little by little, I will also open up myself to the world through these art videos. So if you want to support me and my work and join this art journey as well as little self-discovery journey, you know where the subscribe button is. I'm looking forward to hearing from you in the comments, and stay tuned for the second part. Wishing you a sunny day ahead and hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye!